It decided to open up city halls yesterday for same-sex couples looking to get married. And the mayor of Binghamton took it a step further, inviting couples from other cities to come to his city to get their licenses. Only a few took Matt Ryan up on his offer, but he did perform 3 weddings for local couples. Matt Ryan joins me from Binghamton to talk about his role in those weddings. Mayor, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Nick.
So, Mayor Ryan, if you could tell us just a little bit about why you decided to send out this open invitation for New York City couples who perhaps didn't win the lottery on Sunday and get married in Binghamton.
Well, that was exactly the reason. You know, we first of all, we've been at the forefront of trying to help this fight. Our city hall, since we got in office, has been very proactive in trying to promote equal rights and equal marriage rights, and the gay pride agenda, because we feel that it's only fair that people have the same rights and responsibilities as everybody else. And we saw that they were having a lottery in New York City. We know that Pennsylvania doesn't have marriage equality yet, so we sent out letters to invite people to come because we're so close to the Pennsylvania border. And we did get some couples to come from New York City. None from Pennsylvania that I know of, but we had 18 people who signed up to be married yesterday, 18 couples, and I performed 4 of those weddings myself yesterday.
Now, do you expect to have more same-sex weddings, more gay couples getting married in Binghamton in the coming days, in the coming weeks?
Absolutely. You know, the one thing is we already know that our big new Riverwalk Hotel and Conference Center, they have one booked for September 10th, a big wedding there. Calls are coming in all the time. I think possibly because they know I've been a big supporter. A lot of couples would like to get married by a mayor who's been supportive of marriage equality all along. You know, let's not forget, though, this is not the end of this fight. Until DOMA is repealed, until that is no longer the policy of the federal government, there's still a long ways to go. There's still a lot of rights that gay couples don't get from the federal government, no matter what the states do. We should say, though, that Mayor, we should say, though, that DOMA is the Defense of Marriage Act, which is a federal law governing how marriage is defined between a man and a woman. Obviously not in favor of same-sex marriages. Speaking of DOMA, what do you think of President Obama's stance and recent comments on gay marriage and what he says is his evolving views on same-sex marriages? Well, I think you saw that a lot from our senators, their evolving views in New York State, and finally they evolved to the point where they realized that it was the right thing to do to allow anybody who loves each other to be able to express themselves and have the same rights and responsibilities as everybody else in our society. You know, you saw a vote change considerably over 1 year in New York State. I'm glad to see President Obama's views also evolving, and he said he's no longer going to defend DOMA. So we're moving in the right direction. It's an important direction so that everybody has I mean, for instance, I married a couple yesterday who've been together for 37 years, and think about it, if one of them went into the hospital, this is just under New York State laws, and under HIPAA regulations, and their partner wouldn't be able to get any information, know what was going on with their partner of 37 years, and that's just absurd. This is all, they crafted the Defense of Marriage Act in New York State to make sure it didn't infringe on any religious beliefs, and so anybody civilly should be able to get married anywhere in this country and also have the same, all rights and responsibilities should be the same for everybody.
Do you expect some couples from Pennsylvania to come to Binghamton or come to the area to be married, even if it's not recognized in Pennsylvania? Do you expect that to happen? And if so, what's that going to do to the area's economy, to the wedding industry in Binghamton?
Well, that's part of it. I mean, part of the argument during the marriage equality debate in New York State was they brought out the fact of what a boom it could be for New York City's and all of New York State economy. So, that's good for businesses, For Pennsylvania, certainly I know people that went and got married in Massachusetts or Canada or other states because they couldn't get married here, so we know that people do it. So why not be welcoming and allow people to have a ceremony? Obviously, they don't, if they go back to Pennsylvania, they won't have those rights. Although, there are some mayors, including myself, that before this was passed in New York State, I had an executive order that allowed people to have the same benefits if they worked for the city.
Right.
And I would encourage other mayors and executives to do the same thing in other states.
Right. So were there any city clerks or marriage officers, designated marriage officers in Binghamton, in the Binghamton city government, who expressed to you or have expressed concerns about same-sex couples being married?
No, we had, I think there was one clerk in Bainbridge that's pretty close to Binghamton that decided to resign, and I respect her beliefs. She's, she gave up her job because of her religious beliefs, and that's fine if somebody wants to do that. At the end of the day, it's the law, and everybody has to adhere to it now, or if they can't, unfortunately, they would lose their job. But nobody in Binghamton has taken up that position. Our clerk actually was very welcoming and wanted to be part of this historic occasion.
So how many designated marriage officers do you have? Is it yourself and the city clerk, or do you have other people who are who have the designation of being a marriage officer?
No, it's just me and the city clerk for the city of Binghamton. Obviously, any of the other judges could also do it. But I haven't heard any of those officials express reservations. I would doubt that they would. Obviously, a clerk has to be either decide one way or the other. So we likely won't hear about anybody has reservations. They just won't do it. A clerk is a public figure who has to make that decision. So we'll find out pretty quick whether they will or will not do a ceremony.
Sure. So just wanted to get your response or your thoughts on a lawsuit that's been filed today by a conservative group, New Yorkers for Constitutional Freedoms, challenging the way this same-sex marriage law was passed in the Senate. They say it was done behind closed doors, was done without the public really having much input. Just do you think this is something that will hold up in court ultimately?
Absolutely not. We have a representative democracy. Not, there's many. I mean, if it wasn't for people taking tough positions in many different issues across the history of our nation, many different minority groups would not have the same rights as all of us, and we know that. So it's not surprising that a conservative group would do that, but we have a representative democracy. People finally have caught up with the times. Actually, if there was a referendum right now, we know, if the polls are right, that it would now finally a pretty good-sized majority favor same-sex marriage. So I don't really know what the merits of the lawsuit would be.
Now, just lastly, before we go, I have to ask you, there's kind of a weird competition that's going on, I think, between some mayors who officiated at same-sex marriages Sunday night or late Saturday night, saying, they were the first ones to officiate at a same-sex marriage. I think Albany Mayor Jerry Jennings is trying to lay claim to that. When did you perform your first same-sex marriage, and do you think you're the first one who officiated?
No, I don't, because I didn't perform mine until 4 o'clock. I know there was some earlier than that, and I applaud those jurisdictions that allowed that to happen. I wasn't going to ask my clerk to get out of bed at midnight, and or the judge the judge that had to waive it. So I don't think she would have gotten up. Maybe she would have, but we weren't looking to be the first. We were from what I understand, though, we were the first to say that we were going to open our clerk's office on Sunday, which led to people trying to beat us, and I guess they did. But I welcome that competition. I'm glad that some people beat us.
Well, I guess you have bragging rights there. Binghamton Mayor Matt Ryan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Nick.